Should we court controversy or should we go with something safe?
Controversy first.
Let's do it.
Heat up and then cool down.
All right. You already saw the headline for this. New York lawmakers debate background checks for 3D printers. I'm going to let you read the topic and I'm just going to look at your face. Okay. He doesn't know about this yet. He's been completely disconnected this week, just like busy doing other things.
Wild week. Yeah.
I am so excited. Let's all watch Luke.
Oh boy. This isn't weird at all. Wow. Pain to me. New York legislators have proposed a bill that would require a criminal background check to buy 3D printers that could be used to print any part of a firearm. This would likely include a vast majority of 3D printers commercially available. Yeah, like pretty much all of them, including relatively cheap FDM printers. According to the bill as written, background checks could take up to 15 business days. Sale of these 3D printers would be prohibited to any user who has a conviction or outstanding warrant for a felony or other serious crime. While many 3D printed guns require at least a few metal parts. Yeah, at least a couple, like a barrel. But anyways, at least a few metal parts for reliability and accuracy. There are some relatively weak printed guns that can be made entirely of plastic or wood. But anyways, let's skip past that, with the exception of the firing pin. However, I mean, there's ways around that too. However, these guns typically fall apart after only a few uses. Yeah. Okay.
Now to be clear, okay, look, Luke's not some kind of like 2FA diehard,
No.
like nothing else matters, but also
No.
I think has a pretty realistic view of what kind of legislation could meaningfully impact firearm safety. And it's honestly, it's not the kind of thing that we're going to get into in great detail on the show, even though it's something that we both have thoughts on and have talked to each other about privately. But what I knew for sure is that you were going to get a huge kick out of this because this will do absolutely nothing.
That is why.
It will serve absolutely no purpose other than to make it inconvenient to get a 3D printer, and probably only marginally so.
Luke, Mythbusters wood cannon. Look up the recent assassination of the Japanese.
Look, a handheld flippin' crossbow is in a lot of ways more dangerous than a firearm because of how stealthily it can be used. Those are super illegal here, but you can totally make one without a 3D printer. Like it's bizarre to me that they are basically it's like banning scissors and tape. Like, I'm sorry, you can't have tape because you might use it to bind somebody. Sure, you could, and no, this is not one of those. What's it called? A straw man argument or whatever? I forget the exact thing.
Or single shot shotguns with metal pipes. Yeah, this is my point. Like,
I'm not taking this to an absurd level just to demonstrate that this is a slippery slope or anything. This is actually ridiculous.
If you want to make stuff, you can make stuff. You don't need a 3D printer.
You could fire a bullet without a gun.
Yeah.
You literally don't even need one. I know this from experience. Don't worry about it. Not accurately, mind you.
Okay. So, I mean, someone in chat, CNC machines. Like what? Where?
Why don't you ban bleach and ammonia because they can be used to make mustard gas,
styrofoam,
or gasoline and styrofoam?
Yeah, like
Sorry. Fellow anarchist cookbook reader
just fell out of the exact same one at the same time. Nice. Like I don't know. You can't. It's literally just going to be annoying to people that want 3D printers.
And realistically, okay, actually, I'm glad that you brought up the anarchist cookbook because
I did.
The only
just literally not what happened.
Yeah, well, it's got all kinds of instructions for how to do things with fuel. I used gaslighting.
Oh my goodness!
So I'm glad you.
I thought it was pretty good.
Oh, that's excellent. I'm glad you brought up the Anarchist Cookbook because the only reason that I ever downloaded it, the only reason I even became aware of it was because someone tried to ban it at some point when I was in high school.
Me too. I bet you we did. We probably downloaded the same file and very likely same day.
So it's pretty much just your classic Streisand effect, right?
Yeah.
All this talk about 3D printing guns, I'm not saying that it's going to change anything. Eventually, 3D printed guns will proliferate. They will be absolutely everywhere. You will be able to 3D print a sophisticated weapon with commodity hardware. I have no doubt whatsoever of that.
You're always going to have problems with certain things.
Trying to slow it down in this way is doing absolutely nothing other than sparking a conversation. I wouldn't be talking about this right now if New York wasn't deciding to do background checks for but it's not like there's some kind of biometric authentication. All you would have to do is recruit some low-level crony, like organized criminals do, who doesn't have a record yet, get them to do the dirty work, which is apparently going to the store and buying a 3D printer now, and then you can print as many guns as you want. Because it's not like they're even going to limit how many 3D printers you can buy. So you just roll up to freaking, I don't know, whatever stores they have in New York that sell 3D printers, walk out with an armload of 3D printers.
What are you going to do with these? I don't know, sell stuff on Etsy.
Yeah, exactly. Prove I'm not.
Yeah.
So what's next? We're going to have chips and 3D printers that prevent them from printing, firearms pieces like you have in printers that keep you from printing currency? There's no way. It's not realistic.
There's so many different ways, so many different forms.
I mean, they could, you could kind of AI it. I mean, anything with a tube, no.
Yeah, really. I mean, that's what it kind of, the tube is not, it's plastic, it'd be really bad.
Yeah, but it's technically possible.
For one, maybe. There's a lot of pressure. I don't know enough about this.
I think
it just ends up being like this big. I don't know.
Ban stepper motors. Exactly. Thanks, Dan.
There's so many other. This is clear, and this is one of the problems with a lot of gun laws. Is this is clearly made by someone who has no idea what they're talking about.
Yep. I mean, look, it's one of those things where, again, we're not going to get
it's just going to do nothing and just be annoying.
We are realistically not going to get into the exact details of any of our stances, but one thing that Luke and I did talk about in a fair bit of detail is in Canada, they released a list of weapons that moved from not banned to banned. This is, a year ago, 2 years ago?
I don't remember the exact timeline,
I can't remember when it happened, but basically, as far as either of us could tell, and Luke is far more knowledgeable about it than me, so take whatever I'm saying as just the vague recollections of something someone who actually knows anything told to them a long time ago. But as far as either of us could tell, most of the rationale appeared to be around the
scary
aesthetics
of
the
looks
weapons.
Spooky. So I went through an exercise of showing Linus all the things that were still on the market, which were significantly scarier.
Like, really scary.
Yeah.
Do you have any examples that you
I'm not going to be able
to
to bring it up right now, but there's one where it's a folding shotgun that is going to be shorter than the length of your femur when folded and comes with a strapped on femur mount. Yeah. So it just like
shotguns are fucking scary.
And a lot of the policymakers seem to not think so because they play like COD.
What? I mean, they're for ducks, right?
Yeah. It's like
no, they're for turning objects into ground meat. Against an unarmored target. Holy crap. The fact that anyway. So it's mostly the utter illogicality. Is that a word?
It's just constantly policymakers that have no idea what they're talking about, putting policy in that mostly just annoys people and doesn't really actually accomplish anything. I think this is super common with firearms. I'm not surprised that this one is similarly like, what? Someone in chat, I want a strap-on femur mount. Yeah, I'm not even saying anything about the stuff. I was just pointing out that like the way that certain laws are written, like that one shotgun in particular is able to skirt around certain Canadian laws because it meets certain very specific requirements. But like if you went into the nature of what the law is trying to accomplish, you would think that that thing should definitely not be allowed. But if you go into the technical specifics of how the law works, it is totally allowed. So it's like, this is weird. And there's a lot of firearms laws end up being that way, where you end up with like weird things going on. And oftentimes situations that are actually significantly more dangerous for the people that are trying to follow the laws properly, because it now puts them, the things that they were using to be more safe are now illegal. Because again, people not knowing what they're talking about, like firearms law is a very weird realm. And this one's also weird because again, you can just have like a pipe.
Yeah, Shinzo Abe. This is posted in Floatplane Chat. Was killed by what? A piece of PVC,
is what I mentioned.
A 2x4, and a nail or something like that. Like it's that gun was very not a gun.
The article said
one shot
with it can be made entirely of plastic with exception of the firing pin, and it's like except you can use a
piece of metal,
a nail.
Yeah, Had someone
most of the 3D printing stuff when it comes to firearms, as far as I've been able to observe, is to like make it so that they look cooler, because having a pipe and a plank of wood doesn't necessarily look that cool. Like it's not. I don't know.
And let's not forget, like if refire rate's not a concern, people literally fabricated their own firearms in like the 1800s or whatever. Like if all you need to do is propel a ball bearing at high enough speed to penetrate a human body, that is not difficult to make on your own.
Stuff has been being done
3D
for a
printers.
very, very, very long time. So like, I don't know, bruh. There's also, you can find videos of them online. There's like 3D printed firearms competitions.
Of course
and it's mostly like, can your firearm make it through? Because they'll all like fall apart. And this is many years in.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Someone in Floatplane Chat asked, would you let your kids 3D print a gun? No.
This is not the same. Oh. I'm not saying, all I'm saying is that this law will not change anything. That's all I'm saying. And you can tell by how it's written that the person making the law has no idea that that's true.
It's almost like when we're looking at, laws around right to repair or net neutrality, or
it's
the
all
internet
the same situation.
In general.
It's lawmakers making laws about things that they have no idea what they're talking about.
And lobbyists
informing them about the things that they want them to know about.
I'm trying to figure out who's lobbying for this. Is this just kind of like a special interest group maybe, or something? Like who's...
I'm assuming it's just anti-firearm stuff in general, but I think that even from that standpoint, like this, again, it doesn't change anything. It just annoys 3D printer people. And honestly, I bet you, because I haven't...
Probably doesn't even annoy 3D printer people who already have 3D printers.
Yeah, that too. Like, what are they going to make you like hand them in?
That, and can I just bring up for a moment that New York is a really small state?
Yeah.
Which is very relevant here because nothing prevents you from crossing state lines into New York
with a 3D printer.
With a 3D printer. Like it's one of those wimpy eastern states back when everybody walked everywhere.
I'm imagining in my head someone with like a tarp in the back of their car covering up their like 3D printers as they drive into New York. I'm smuggling in 3D printers. New York gangsters going from like bootlegging to
GTO fan in Twitch chat being like, not really. New York City is small, but the state isn't. Brother.
Yeah.
We're from Canada. Anything I can drive across in like a few hours is small.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, man.
So, yeah, I don't know. I think if anything, this is going to amplify 3D printed firearms because now people are, if they're going to attempt to ban it in any way, you're effectively communicating to people, whether or not this is true, you're communicating to people that this thing is effective and dangerous.
Yeah.
So now more bad actors will be interested in it. So
here, I'm just gonna help people out here a little bit. Okay.
Someone in Flipling chat, you can 3D print firearms? Neat. Okay. It's like, oh.
This is New York State. There we go. So from the center, it is 5 hours out, basically. Okay, this is BC, where we live. From here to here to here.
He didn't even just include Vancouver Island.
Oh, yeah. This island and this island is also part of it.
Yeah.
So just to give you some context, I'm not, look. Okay, this is not a measuring contest, but ours is way bigger.
But ours is bigger.
Which is why you don't want it to be a measuring contest. Look, there was bound to be a measuring contest I was going to win at some point. Just let me have this one.
And it ends up being the size of a state versus the size of a province.
I think a lot of Americans are actually mad because yes, the distortion of looking at a globe on a flat, whatever, does make BC look bigger than it is. Also, yes, it's mostly mountainous garbage, not inhabitable, covered in snow or rock that is covered in snow. Yes. We get it.
But it's huge. BC is bigger than Texas.
America has the best land. The greatest land.
Yeah,
but it is big.
So if you want to win one, if you want to look at how uninhabitable Canada is, if you look at the population distribution of Canada, we're all snuggling up against that U.S. border. Everybody. No one lives in like most of Canada, or I shouldn't say no one, because now I'm going to piss off a very, very small population of people. But there's a little sprinkling through the rest of it.
90%, and somewhere between, depending on whether you take your source, depending on whether you source from Quora or interestingfacts.com, somewhere between 85 and 90% of Canadians apparently live within 100 miles of the U.S. border. So could literally get there within an hour or two.
Yeah.
And yet we don't go there. I'm kidding, we do. We go there for shopping. It's so much cheaper.
Often.
Yeah, we go there all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. We love our neighbor. We love our neighbors to the south. We really do. But our country is bigger. Look, we got nothing else, okay?
It's the only thing we can
We got
claim.
rocks.
It's really
and trees.
and ice.
Lots of ice.
And water. Oh, no. Forget that part soon.
Yeah. Ugh. This is great. This Vox headline. Canada is a huge country. Most of it is unfit for human. I love where it gets cut off.
Yeah, it's kind of true, though.
Unfit for human.
Yeah.
Human what? Yeah. Just human.
You just got to live at the bottom of it.
Unfit.
Yeah.
Mountain Dew LTT screwdriver.
What?
Reddit user Ox Empress has made a screwdriver based on the shape of the LTT one out. Oh, I see. I am now holding it. That was quick. Okay, well, I guess I don't need to show the picture anymore. This is pretty cool. Offered us an LTT styled screwdriver made out of Mountain Dew bottles using a DIY filament maker in return for an official version. We have accepted this offer, and our discussion question is, what do you think of the Dew driver? I didn't know you could make DIY filament. That is so cool.
I didn't either. And that just makes me believe that whole 3D printer ban is going to work even less than they hoped.
2-liter bottle. You stick it on a nail. You put a little blade thing, and you can cut it into strips, and it makes 3D printer
I'm just
filament.
surprised is it specific enough? Does it have to go through more of a process than that?
Yeah, you got to kind of do an extrudy thing, but it's like actually really workable. It's very similar types of plastic.
That is so cool.
That's amazing.
You can kind of see there's some discoloration around in the middle because it's not like absolutely pristine and pure.
Yeah, but
like that
That's
is
amazing.
100% recycled.
It's a screwdriver handle.
Honestly, the color shifting just makes it kind of like look cool.
It looks better. And
Yeah.
you can mix and match. Like if you want to feed some...
it's like the uniqueness of a wood grain or something like that.
like it's just
Exactly.
cool. I don't mind that at all.
Exactly.
If anything, that's a feature.
That is so cool. Okay, well, hey, enjoy your screwdriver, and I'll also be enjoying mine. Thank you very, very kindly.
Tynan says, I like the concept of recycled bottle filament. It works so well. You remelt it. Oh, no, re-soften it. Most of them are PET normally. PETG is used for lots of filament, but PET works on its own.
Very cool.
Wild. Can I feel it?
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, it's so light.
Speaking of, dude, can I feel it?